Time now for The Real Estate Connection with Stephen Theard, a realtor and certified probate and real estate specialist. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer or a seasoned investor looking to downsize, move up, or refinance, this program is for you.
A house in the middle of our street. Something tells you that you go to in the middle of our...
From probate sales to landscape design to home repairs and maintenance, this is your weekly look into all things real estate. Now your host for The Real Estate Connection, Stephen Theard.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's been a minute since I've been on the air. Hey, I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me. You know, last time I think I spoke to you was right before Valentine's Day, and now we're on the last day of the month on a leap year. It is February 29th, 2024. This date does not come by very often, so I was like, I gotta do a broadcast today. I have to get out there and talk. And one subject that I was thinking about that needed to be talked about are 5 ways to save time and money when buying a home. There are just some things that are super valuable in life. One of them is your time. You have a finite amount of time. Once the hourglass runs out, it's gone. So your time is really, really valuable, as my wife likes to remind me of all the time, that her time is valuable and so is yours. And you spend that valuable time earning money. And what do you do with that money? Well, when it comes to real estate, buying a house, one of the biggest investments you'll ever make in your lifetime. But hey, if you're new to the channel, new to the podcast, I just want to say welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And if you don't want to miss another episode, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Just look for Stephen Theard with Good Patriot Realty. You'll find the Real Estate Connection when you go hunt me down on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then look for the logo that I have up here in the corner. I'm making big. I'm going to even move it down. You'll see that blue logo next to my head. The Real Estate Connection with your host, Stephen Theard, and brought to you by Good Patriot Realty, a salute to home ownership. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. And we're going to, excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat today. We're going to get into this right away. So like I said before, buying a home is one of the biggest investments you can make in your lifetime. The process is time consuming, and you will want your hard-earned money to work for you in the most efficient manner possible, right? You just want that money to be really efficient in buying a home. So there are ways or secrets to the process that real estate professionals know that you can take advantage of today. And that's what this show is all about. They're not really secrets. They're really ways of getting it done. I thought about using that term secrets, and it didn't set well with me because they're really just a method that professionals know and that are really common knowledge when you think about it. But I wanted to share them with you so that you would have this in your back pocket when you're going out there to buy a home, whether it's for the second, first, or third time. All right, so here's the opportunity to put these methods to work for you and use them now or in the future. So what is the first method of saving time or money when buying a home? Well, I'm going to use a sound effect. Maybe that's not good enough. All right. Or maybe this one's better. Yeah, I like that one. All right. So the first way to save time and money when buying a home is to get pre-approved for a loan before you start looking for a home. All right. I know you've heard this before. You've probably seen it You've probably heard other people talking about it, and you may have even spoken to a realtor before in your life, and they have said to you, get pre-approved before you start to look for a home. Now, this time-saving advice is hidden in plain sight. All right, it is. It's just hidden in plain sight because it's sitting right in front of you. It's been the subject of many articles and conversations. Most new home buyers ignore this advice, and that's why it is something I want to draw attention to in the first method, right? It gets ignored. And because you get caught up in, first of all, making that decision, that hefty decision, yes, I want to buy a home. And so this is a massive, and I mean massive time saver for you and your valuable time in looking for a house. I can't tell you how many times I have met some searchers who have not been through the loan pre-approval process when I've been in open houses or just talking to the general public, and I meet somebody who's decided to buy a house. They look for homes and fall in love with one just to find out later that the financial side does not work for them. And there can be many reasons why the financial side doesn't work for them. And here are a few, right? So you're out there, you're looking for a house, you're going to open houses, you may even find a realtor that takes you out looking for a house before you're pre-approved, and they're trying to get to know you and what you think. And they may do this for a couple of weeks even because they're afraid to tell you it's better to go get pre-approved before you go looking for a home because you might walk away from them, when it's actually the kindest and most loving thing they can do, even if it means that you get offended. All right. And here are the reasons why you want to get pre-approved before you fall in love with the house and then go seek to write an offer. One, you go get pre-approved and you qualify. You qualify for the loan, but you find out that the payments are too high for the house you want to buy. So you've just spent months, gas money, time, maybe babysitters for your kids, going back and forth, reviewing disclosures, looking at inspections for the house before you decide to write an offer. And then you go get pre-approved and you find out you qualify, but then the payments are too high. And then all that work you've just done, gone. Right out the window, just done. Leaves out through the back door. The other reason is you may qualify for the loan, but then you find out you don't have enough cash to cover the closing costs. Now, we're going to get into that later in the podcast, but closing costs are the amount of money you need to finish and close the transaction, and you have to have that beyond your down payment. And if you don't get pre-approved for a loan and walk through this process of getting educated about the finance side of buying a house, then you don't realize or come to understand that you don't have enough money to pay for the closing costs. What are other reasons that may stop you dead in your tracks of buying that house? You don't qualify for the loan at the price of the home you're looking for. So you've just gone through all this time and then it's just out of your reach for whatever reason. Maybe it's income, maybe it's credit, maybe it's the interest rate. You just don't qualify for the house that you're looking to buy. The other reason is you don't qualify due to past credit issues. Maybe you've cleaned up your credit, you've got a high credit score, but there's something in your credit, in your background, that tells them or the lender that you just don't qualify for the house that you're looking for. All right. So these are important reasons why you absolutely must get pre-approved for the house before you go out and buy it. You don't want to spend weeks and months looking for a house and then have that all get wasted. And your time is super valuable because you don't get any more of it. Those weeks, they're gone. The days are gone. The hours are gone. It does not come back. All right. So what is the second way that you can save money in buying a home? Well, there is a myth out there that you need 20% down to purchase a home. All right. So a great deal of people still believe you need 20% down payment in order to purchase a home. This is not true, and it can save you cash up front when buying a home. There are many loan programs that will allow you to buy a home for less than 20% down. Some of these loan programs include the following: FHA loans, Fair Housing Administration loans, that only require 3.5% down. VA loans, if you're a veteran and you have a VA benefit, a VA loan requires zero money down. So that's something that you should definitely be taking advantage of if you've served in the U.S. Armed Forces or military and you have that VA benefit. USDA loans, depending on where you're buying a home, that home, where it sits in the United States of America geographically, could qualify for what's called a USDA loan, and those loans do not require any money down. Also, there are some conventional loan programs out there that only require 5% down. Also, there are some lenders that have programs for first responders or law enforcement or EMTs, paramedics, and medical professionals, whether you be doctors or nurses, that have special programs that allow for less money down when buying a house. If you need a recommendation for a qualified lender that can help you for your specific situation, give me a call, Stephen Theard, at 408-472-0817, or just reach out and contact me via email at stephen@goodpatriotrealty.com, and I would be happy to put you in touch with a lender who can help you with one of these programs. All right, what's another way that you can save money in the home buying process? Number 3, reduce your interest rate by asking the seller to help you buy down your rate. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is a rate buy down? A rate buy down is basically this: you have an interest rate that you qualify for based on what's available at the bank that you're asking for a home loan from and your credit score, right? And so they'll quote you a rate, but you can pay something that's called points in order to reduce that rate. You're basically prepaying a part of your loan up front. So for example, if you're getting a home loan for $200,000 and you want to reduce that rate that has been quoted to you by the bank, you can pay 1 point, which is 1% of that loan. That 1% times $200,000 is $2,000. This will reduce the interest rate. So for instance, if the interest rate is, say, 7% and you want to reduce it by 0.25% to bring it down to under 7%, you can ask for the seller to give you a $2,000 credit back on the amount of the house, the amount that you're paying for the house. So if you're making an offer for $500,000, you can ask for $2,000 from the seller, from the proceeds on the sale of the house, as a credit back to you, and you apply that to the loan, basically giving the lender that $2,000 in order to reduce your interest rate over a 30-year term. You can absolutely do that in negotiating the purchase of a home in today's market, depending on where the house is located and how popular the house is. Now, with interest rates being higher than they were in the last 2 years, this is what a lot of buyers are using in order to get the house at a rate that they can afford. What you do is, if the house is listed for $500,000, you make an offer at $502,000, you get that $2,000 credit back, which then gives the seller the full price of $500,000 and allows you to reduce your interest rate, which then lowers your payments on the house. So this is a valuable piece of information that you can use when purchasing a house in today's market. If you have any questions regarding your particular situation, give me a call. We can work together on purchasing your house and putting these strategies into place in order to save you money over time on your mortgage payments and have the seller pay for it. All right. So what's number 4 as far as saving money when buying a home? Number 4, ask the seller to pay a portion of your closing costs as part of your offer to purchase the property. Now, again, this is similar to asking for a credit to reduce the interest rate on your loan, except for this is closing costs. Closing costs are the amount is the dollar amount that is required for you to bring in cash in order to pay fees as part of closing the transaction when you get into contract or when your offer is accepted. What do those fees consist of? Those fees consist of property taxes, transfer taxes, fees that you pay your title company and escrow company for handling the paperwork in the transaction. And if you're located outside of the state of California, this can include attorney's fees, because attorneys get involved in other states as far as transferring title. And it can include lender fees, fees for processing your loan. These are paid in cash outside of your down payment and your loan amount. So what you can do is you can say, hey, seller, I would like for you to credit back to me cash to help me cover my closing costs because I'm using most of my money for a down payment. And you use the same strategy. If the house is listed for $500,000 and you need $10,000 for closing costs, you make an offer at $510,000, and then you ask the seller to credit you back $10,000 for the closing costs. This way, it doesn't hurt the seller in the proceeds from the sale of the house, but it also helps you if you don't have enough cash in order to pay those closing costs to get it back from the seller. Then it's a win-win situation. The seller gets the full asking price for the house. Net of the $10,000, you get the $10,000 to help you pay for closing costs. The seller sells the house, you get the property. Everybody is happy, and that is what you call a win-win situation. All right, what's number 5? Now you're going to say, hey, this doesn't sound like much, but trust me, at the end of the day, this is a very, very good benefit and peace of mind. When you're writing an offer to purchase the home, and I'm just going to adjust my fade level because I'm like fading in and out on screen. There you go. All right. So when you're writing that offer, ask for the refrigerator and washer and dryer in the purchase agreement. Now, a lot of houses that are listed for sale will say that you get the refrigerator and the washer and dryer, and even the stove for that matter, as part of the transaction. But some houses, when they're listed for sale, do not include the washer, dryer, and refrigerator. So ask for it. If your offer is strong, the seller is going to look at the tens and maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're going to make in the proceeds from the sale of the house and compare that to the maybe $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 it costs to replace a washer, dryer, and refrigerator in their next home they may be buying or moving to. And they'll say, you know what? It doesn't really make that big of a difference to me. I'm going to leave them behind for you, the buyer. And for them, they're making all this money on the sale of the house. They can use it to go buy brand new appliances. So use this to your advantage when you write the offer. because it's different when you're talking about buying a house and you put a real contract in front of somebody and they're looking at all that money sitting on the table in front of them in writing. It's a big deal. So go for it. Worst case scenario is they say no. You've got nothing to lose and you have everything to gain. One, you don't have to go out and buy a washer and dryer and refrigerator before you move into the property. You already have enough stuff to worry about with turning on utilities and moving your furniture in. Why not have it there waiting for you when you arrive, right? And you don't have to spend time as part of your move shopping for new appliances and having them delivered in a timely fashion before you get into the property. Even though it doesn't sound like a lot of money up front, the time that you're saving is valuable, and the peace of mind that you have when purchasing a home is valuable as well. So let's recap. What are the 5 ways to save time and money when purchasing a home? Number 1, get pre-approved before you go shopping. You will know exactly what you qualify for, the payments you want, and you can dial in your home search so that when you find that property, you have extreme confidence when writing an offer. And you can set your strategy ahead of time and be ahead of all the people who have not done it, and then they have to go back and retool before they write an offer. It cuts out some of your competition. Number 2, you don't need 20% down. Look for loan programs that are less than that. Conventional loans that are 5%, VA loan 0% down, USDA loan 0% down, FHA loan 3.5% down. And if you qualify as in a special category like a first responder, law enforcement, medical professional, nurse, doctor, there are programs out there for you as well to save you money on your down payment. Number 3, reduce your interest rate by asking in the offer for the seller to credit you back money to buy down your interest rate, thus saving you money on your monthly payments for your mortgage. Number 4, ask the seller to pay closing costs. Be strategic. Offer more money than what the house is listed for. Ask for that money back as a credit. It's a win-win. The seller's happy. They get full price. You're happy. You get money back to pay for closing costs. It doesn't come out of your pocket necessarily. And it's basically kind of financed in the purchase price of the house over time. And over 30 years, $10,000, not that much money. Even if it gets up to $30,000, not that money over a 30-year life of a loan. Also, number 5, ask the seller, number 4, ask the seller to pay closing costs. And then number 5, ask the seller for the appliances as part of the offer. Don't have to go out and use your time and energy to find appliances, because it's not just the appliances, but you got to measure the width and the location of where that is. You've got to manage the delivery process. Does it fit? Does it look right? You also have to make sure that it's within your budget. Are you going to have that money left over after you've just gone through the big expense of buying a new home, right? Ask for the appliances. Again, the seller's going to be looking at a lot of money on the table. And if they like your offer and they want to get their home sold, comparing 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, hundreds, thousands of dollars on the table compared to $3,000 to $5,000 in appliances, they're going to take the larger stack of cash over the expense of replacing the appliances when they move into their next property. So if any of this resonates with you and you have any questions about how this works for you specifically, reach out to me through any of the mediums that we're on, whether it's through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. There's ways to connect with me, or just look me up, goodpatriotrealty.com, goodpatriotrealty.com. Super easy to remember. You can find me all over the internet, and there's ways to connect with me there, or call me 408-472-0817. I want to leave you with this before we take off, because buying a house, you do have to be brave. And there's going to be all kinds of psychological roadblocks thrown at you from maybe your friends, family, or even yourself, because fear does rear its ugly head when you're trying to do something positive for yourself. Don't listen. So I'm going to leave you with this. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. All right. If you don't want to miss another episode, check us out at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Podbean. And we will see you next time on another episode of the Real Estate Connection, brought to you by Good Patriot Realty. A salute to home ownership. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. And have a fantastic spring. And thanks for joining me on this Leap Day, February 29th, 2024.
This has been The Real Estate Connection with Realtor and Certified Probate and Real Estate Specialist Stephen Theard. Licensed Cal BRE number 0170019. For more information on this program, visit realestateconnectionradio.com. To contact Stephen directly, call 408-472-0817 or email info@realestateconnectionradio.com. And be sure to tune in next week at this time for The Real Estate Connection.